bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch. What's going on, everybody? I'm Lamont Tyson, back for another PBB News, which stands for Politics of Being Black News. And the biggest stories we've got going today, Trump claims he's the reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning. We'll discuss that. And we'll also discuss how is it that this woman in like 4 or 5 years made $23 million. The harm and hurt in Gaza by war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu continues to go. We've got that. And we've also got the possibility of a special election coming up soon that could mean a lot to where the states and the United States will go in the next election, 2026. Let's go ahead and start with Trump. Always running his mouth. He has such an ego. He's got to take credit for everything. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to this channel. And then also subscribe to me on TikTok, Life Gains One. Very important for the algorithm. It silences young, progressive, political talking people like me who come with facts. Leave a comment that can help. Here's Trump talking about why Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning.
Now to the news that has rattled Washington over the last couple of days. Firebrand Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene announcing she will resign from her seat in January. The Georgia representative and longtime loyalist of President Trump has spent the last several weeks in a public feud with the president over the Epstein files, health care, and more. NBC's Julie Sirkin is at the White House with new details. Julie, good morning.
Willie, good morning. President Trump on Saturday telling reporters here that he disagreed with Marjorie Taylor Greene's philosophy when asked about the Georgia Congresswoman's shocking decision to resign. The president claims she made the announcement, which caught him and House Speaker Mike Johnson by surprise, because she wouldn't have won her primary after he threatened to fund a challenger to run against her. MTG, as she's known, is leaving Congress on January 5th, and that means House Speaker Mike Johnson will soon have an even slimmer majority and even fewer votes to enact the administration's priorities. Meanwhile, this morning, the White House and Pentagon not commenting on reporting that the administration is planning new action in Venezuela as they try to ramp up pressure on Nicolas Maduro's government. The president spoke to us on his way to tour the golf course at Joint Base Andrews that he plans to redesign, taking on another construction project with a busy few days ahead of Thanksgiving. Willie?
Julie Sirkin at the White House. Julie, thank you.
So you see, Trump is claiming to take victory for Marjorie Taylor Greene, seeming as though she found her senses over the last couple of weeks. And I do believe Marjorie knew she was going to quit a long time ago because there's rumblings that she has ambitions to run for president. I think she made the calculated decision weeks ago when she started basically sounding like she had sense, speaking up about what's going on in Gaza, even though, make no mistake, she's an anti-Semite, speaking up about the big ugly bill and how it harms health care. I think she knew back then she was going to quit and just decided on her way out, she was going to try to sound decent and make people follow her lead as she prepares to run for president. I hope that woman does not win because she's a chameleon. She has fooled y'all into thinking that she makes sense. I think that she's just trying to do this because she needs time to run her campaign for president. And on the way out, she's trying to make moderates feel as though she's a moderate human being, that once she gets in there, she won't increase power and try to take more power away from the American people. And you also got to think about this. If you enter into your job as a politician, she owns some kind of construction business. She wasn't worth millions of dollars at that time. She's leaving now worth over $20 million. Wouldn't you quit too and start running your mouth? Because when you get that kind of money, it is what I call fuck you money. That is enough money. You can say what you want, do what you want, almost get away with what you want, especially when you've had the kind of power that she's had. And the fact that she's been in Congress long enough, she gets benefits the rest of her life. So why not walk away and spend your time trying to run for president? Post your comments. Let me know what you think. I'm still not going to vote for that woman. She's got a long ways to prove to me that she's worthy of a vote in any kind of thing. I mean, hell, let alone a joy vote. Definitely not an American vote. Next story we got is the harm and death of human beings, period, continues to go on Israel, Gaza Strip. How is that whole Trump told them to ceasefire thing working out when this just happened over the weekend? Take a look at this.
On Saturday, at least 24 Palestinians were killed and dozens more wounded in a series of Israeli strikes in Gaza. The Israeli military said it was responding after an armed terrorist shot at troops in southern Gaza. The new strikes come during a U.S. negotiated ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that went into place last month. And in the same week, the UN Security Council approved an American blueprint to secure and govern Gaza.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the...
It bothers me when we have top Democrats. Now, Democrats are supposed to be about the people. They're supposed to be about inclusion, everybody. It bothers me when those top Democrats can't call Benjamin Netanyahu what he is, a war criminal that America has propped up. Trump ran his mouth and said, stop, cease the violence. Has it ceased? No, you just seen it continues to happen. And let me put this picture right on back up so you guys can see how bad it is. This is what they're saying Sunday today. Benjamin Netanyahu continues to kill Palestinians. And the American Israel lobby has such a stronghold on Chuck U. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries that they cannot call it for what it is. You ask them about what's going on in Gaza, and they dodge the question more than you in a dodgeball game when you were 6 years old, just ducking and dodging. Sometimes they just go out of bounds with it. But at the end of the day, Palestine and its people are caught in the middle of something that should end. And I'm not standing here saying that people don't have a right to defend themselves, but this is over. And America funds this shit. America funds Israel, which a lot of people don't know, gives their people education and health care. And what are we getting here? We're getting a reduction in health care. We're getting skyrocketing health care costs, yet we continue to send money over there so that they can harm other human beings. Democrats, you need to get your act together. Stop worrying about that lobby and pull a Mamdani and get some balls about yourself. Fight for the people here and then begin fighting for ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Palestinians and their kids are human beings too. This does not need to continue to go on, and I need more Democrats to be like Zoran, my man Mamdani. Speaking of Zoran Mamdani and what he has done with a blue wave, here's the final story I'm going to cover today. It's a special election going on in Tennessee, and this can be a bellwether on whether or not Zoran's wave and his movement is strong enough to sustain most places in the United States outside of blue areas. This is going to be a special election in Tennessee. Let me give you guys the news story, then we can come back and see what you guys think in terms of will the blue wave continue to rise.
In less than 2 weeks, we're going to get our next clues on how voters are feeling ahead of the midterms. It will come from a special election in a solidly Republican congressional district in the middle of Tennessee, one where Democrats are hoping they can pull off an upset. Former Vice President Kamala Harris even made a surprise appearance for the Democrat there this week. The first time she's joined a candidate on the campaign trail since leaving office. NBC's Steve Kornacki has more on the race at the big board.
All right, December 2nd, less than 2 weeks from now, we get our next election, our next readout on the atmosphere as 2026 starts to come into focus. So it's a special election in the 7th Congressional District of Tennessee, sort of middle Tennessee. What are we talking about here? Well, there's downtown Nashville. There's the suburbs in Williamson County, which is right outside Nashville. And then it kind of sprawls and crawls to the west and to the south to some rural areas. So sort of a mix in this district, a very Republican district. You wouldn't normally talk about this district being at all potentially competitive, except here's what's been happening in recent elections. You know, in New Jersey here, Democratic landslide in the governor's race. But the key was this. Look, Trump had lost this state by 6 points to Kamala Harris last year. New Jersey went up to a 14-point margin in the governor's race there. So the Democrats didn't just win. I think they overperformed relative to last year. Same thing happened in Virginia. Again, it's a blue state to start with. Harris had won this by just under 6 points last year. But again, look at this, up to 15 points here. So two Democratic landslides. It wasn't just Democrats won these states. It's that they won them in landslides. And this comes on the heels of what we've had 4 special elections for the House so far this year. And in all 4 of them, the Democrats have overperformed relative to 2024. In Florida, 1st District, Republicans won it by 15, but that was down from 37 points last year. In Florida 6, Republicans won by 14, down from a 30-point win. Democrats carried two districts here, but they increased their margin relative to 2024. So again, you look at this district, Tennessee 7. Look, Trump won it by 22 points last year. He won it by 15 points in 2020. But if you get this kind of movement, if you get some of that movement you saw in Virginia, some of that movement in New Jersey, this could get into the single digits. This could get potentially interesting. One thing we've been seeing, these special elections, lower turnout, Democrats have been more motivated, their voters have, than Republicans. So keep an eye on this one. The Republicans think the Democratic candidate, she's sort of from the progressive side of the party. Her own party called her the AOC of Tennessee. They think they can get some mileage out of those attacks they want to be using nationally in 2026. If the Republicans end up winning this big, not having this kind of drop-off, it would show those attacks maybe are going to work next year. If the Democrats can get this down to single digits, it would be more momentum for them heading into the midterm.
All right, we'll be watching closely. Steve Kornacki.
All right, so there you have the story. What are my thoughts here? I do believe that this Democrat is going to lose because, number one, you had Kamala come and endorse her. And I'm not a Kamala hater. It's just that a lot of Democrats were turned off by Kamala because her policies was too in the middle, and people felt like they didn't have a chance to vote for who should have been vice president. Joe Biden should have stepped out with the dementia thing a long time ago. They felt like Kamala was forced on them. And that caused a lot of people who are Democratic voters to sit at home. That's what it did. The Mamdani wave that we saw happened in places that was already blue. And that happened because Mamdani was voted in by the people, and his policies seemed to carry more with the folks who sat on their hands as Democrats than those that didn't. And in this race in Tennessee, which is always a red place, a red state, and this particular race has always been, this particular race where the district is has always been red, this woman is not going to win. If she wins, I will be happy, and I will come up here and eat all kinds of crow pie that y'all want me to eat. I will. But I don't think she's going to win because she had the endorsement of Kamala. Kamala is not that well liked, even though she should be liked more than Trump. It's just a matter of the fact she isn't. And this congresswoman is running in a place that never, ever gives ground to Democrats. And do I believe that people in the red areas and flyover state have learned their lesson from Trump? No. I'll even go as far as say, fuck no. They have not learned their lesson. Matter of fact, I do believe that the ardent, hardcore MAGA person still would rather have pain and suffering in their own house than to see them and minorities and people of color and people in special select groups to rise with them than to have their own homes do better. That's what I believe. Hate runs that deep. And a lot of what these people get is the circle of Fox News hate. They go to church where their pastors is preaching a message of hate and they lace it with Jesus Christ. And I don't know how folks can fall for that banana in the tailpipe, but they still do. And now you expect us to believe that Kamala endorsement of someone who is progressive in Tennessee is going to win. If this woman does pull it off, I will feel a whole lot better about where this country is going. But if she doesn't, it won't surprise me. And it's still just going to come down to taking the country back in the places where Democrats sat on their hands the last time. Hopefully will come out in the midterms this time. Please post me all your comments on what you think. That's the best thing you can do to help get my message out in the algorithm, because they do suppress Democratic voices left and right, because all of these social media platforms nowadays are starting to be owned by right-wing people who just want the top 1% to control everything and us be pundits of their well-being. Don't forget to like this video, comment, as I said, share, follow me on TikTok at LifeGains1, and you all get my favorite outro, Jasmine Crockett, that bad bee herself.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built